So the objective of this exercise is to make a whole boat shape using curves. And the first method, I'm going to use two Bezier curves with one curve representing the keel and one curve representing a rib, and then we're going to use the rib as a bevel. So we're going to geometry, choose the object for the bevel as a rib, and then we're going to use the tilt and the radius to change the angle of the slope, the rotation around the keel. So as you can see, you can use the tool from the toolbar, but it's easier to use the transform values on the right hand side. And we're going to make just half of it a mirror, a pull method. So we're now going to try using the nurbs surface. We're going to mirror the surface about the y-axis, so we only need to make half of it. So move it to one side and then lift the outside edge up, and we'll rotate the bow so it's completely vertical, and then scale it down so it's an appropriate height. We move some of the control points in the fattest part of the boat, middle of the hull, down, curve the front. And then we'll move the control points up the stern and lift those up. So you've got a nice slope going up, and move the belly of the boat down, make it fatter still, pull it right down and make it taper at the stern as well. And then we'll stretch the whole thing and increase the Y height and generally tweak it so it looks like a good hull shape. We'll make sure that the X value of the central control points are bang on, X equals 0. And then we extrude the side twice and then move the control points that should be on X equals 0 onto 0 and move the others in to make side decks all round, and then generally tweak the shape a bit more so we're happy that it looks very boat-like. When we're completely happy with that, convert it into a mesh. We just check it looks okay, so we'll extrude upwards and scale inwards from these edge loops to form a cabin. So I need to select all of them. So I need to go onto X-ray, and I've accidentally got a wrong one on there, so get rid of that. And then back in the cockpit we'll get rid of the roof, so we just have the edge raised. We've filled that with F and fill the back, but it's not a good planar surface, so we'll create in two stages. We need to put an edge going across the bottom of that rather than the top, across there, and then form a face on the bottom, or a series of faces. And then an extra face on the top. So that looks okay, and then maybe we need a few extra edge loops inserting to make the edges show a bit more sharply, and the bow also needs and the gunnel we'll just put in just to make the normals change more sharply. Right, now we're going to use the bridging edge loop, so we're going to add a Bezier curve. We change the handle to free so we can make a sharp bend where it goes around the sail joins the mast. So now we have a sail and a mast as one curve, which will be the bottom point. So we'll make two copies, one to go halfway up the mast and one to go at the top of the mast. and we'll flatten the curve and we'll make it so that they twist as we go up the sail. So the middle one goes in the middle, top one at the top, and then in the plan view we'll have the mast slightly bending so the mast doesn't go directly up, and we'll twist the sail. So that looks okay. Now we need to convert that into a mesh, select all the points, and then use the bridge edge loops, and we'll put an extra cut in so that we have a bit smoother. You'll see I've accidentally put an edge cut there, which you want to avoid. Tilt the top of the sail down a bit, line the vertices up so they don't have a discontinuity, and that looks okay. I'll set the smooth shading on, and then make the hull visible again and position the mast in the right part of the boat with the right twist and scale it so it looks good. And then we'll parent the mast and sail to the boat so that as we move the boat they move too. Now we're going to set a different material for the deck from the rest of the boat. So we select first of all the decking vertices, getting rid of the ones we didn't want. A very tidy way is to use select edge loops and then Ctrl plus to expand the selection. So we created a new material and assigned it. We need to do the inverse, but we can't do that with the vertices neatly. We end up with a gap. So if we switch to face select, we can do an inverse and make sure we've selected all the faces. So basically the deck is a slightly rough brown colour and the fiberglass is a shiny white colour. And we'll do the same exercise on the mast and sail. We'll make a white sail with a metallic mast. So we just increase the metallic value to 1. So now we've got two materials for the boat and two materials for the mast and sail. So we add a plane and then we add on the ocean modifier. We'll increase the X and Y repeat to 5. The size to 2, the spatial size to 20, and then we'll set the choppiness in the waves to 3. And that looks okay. It won't be a perfect ocean. We'll make it a fairly dark bluey green colour, and we turn the transmission to 1. So we're going to look at it, and then we need to change the surface roughness so it reflects boat and anything else. Now we're going to use eevee for the rendering, so it's not going to be a very realistic looking scene, and eevee will be fine for that. It's much faster. So we're going to use an environment texture in the background to provide the lighting and the distant scenery. So first of all we need to position the camera so we're seeing a reasonable bit of the scenery. We don't want it too obviously in the middle of the countryside. We'll just have a bit of sky and some trees as if they were hills. And we're going to put a volumetric haze. So we're going to have things becoming hazy in the distance, and we're going to use the camera focal distance. So we move around so that camera's in one corner with the boat near to it, and then the sea going off into the distance. So we change the density of the volume scatter to 0.02, otherwise it will just be completely opaque, and we'll switch screen space reflections on so we can see the boat reflected in the sea. Selecting the camera, set depth of field on and the f-stop to 0.1, and then we could have focused on the object, but just demonstrate how you can change the focal distance, and then we move it so that we just can't quite see the edge of the ocean. Okay, so that looks suitable. We'll see that bloom and ambient occlusion don't really make any difference here, but that looks okay. So we'll just go ahead and render that.